Hey guys, welcome back to the Gulf Coast Growth Show. I'm your host, Jason Lee. We're here at Season 7 at our Shell studio. We're excited to be in studio and we're kicking things off. And we actually have a special guest from our sponsor today, which is even more exciting. And so we'll introduce her. It's Miss Jessica Blackmore. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And your role?
I'm a corporate relations advisor at our Shell Deer Park facility.
Fantastic. And then as always, here with my great co-host, CLINT AKIN. And we're going to talk a little bit about community and really your involvement in the community today. We're excited about that. I think a lot of times, the day in and day out, we lose sight of things as we're driving on 225, I-10. You look over and you see these big refineries and you think of, I think sometimes they get the not necessarily the rap that they deserve for all the great work they're doing in the community, the jobs, the support that they provide. And I think we're going to hear some phenomenal stories about some of the work that's taken place recently that's going to have a huge impact here regionally. So we're excited about that. So before we dive in, why don't you share a little bit about your background and kind of your role so people know what that means, right? So what do you do day in and day out?
For sure. So I'm the corporate relations advisor at Deer Park. I've been here for about 3-4 years and have been with Shell for around 10. So previously have done this role, but at some of our other facilities in Canada. So a lot of my day-to-day is working with our community, so making sure if there's anything that they can see or hear or smell at the plant that we address those concerns, help them understand what might be happening at the facility, and I work with all of our employees and communicate.
Fantastic. Well, yeah, I don't think people understand the magnitude of the importance of that role because if any one thing happens out there, there's an immediate correspondence between the communities, the immediate surrounding communities. So we've seen that in the past, and how people like yourself have to jump in there and make things happen. And that's on the bad side necessarily, but today's exciting because there's a lot of community things that you're doing behind the scenes that aren't necessarily always getting showcased, right? So if there is something that we all smell, it hits the news first thing, right? And everybody's out there. Right. But what about all the cool stuff that's going on all the time that you guys are doing? So I think that's exciting and a big topic for today. So just for our audience, they maybe don't understand, or maybe there's somebody listening today who doesn't really realize the impact of what that plant specifically is producing and creating for us. Talk to us a little bit about what Shell's doing and the products that they produce.
Right, so our chemicals facility produces base chemicals, and so they wouldn't be sold to a consumer like yourselves, but they are sold to other companies that will produce them into the goods and services that you buy. So they'll show up in things like your insulation in your house, the products that make lightweight components for your vehicles, different aspects of antiseptics or detergents, hand sanitizer. There's components in there, of course. We saw that increased demand as we went through the COVID-19 pandemic.
Right.
And rubber for tires, all sorts of things. Right.
And so specifically, when they think about that, for those that are listening, you have the refineries and then chemical plants. And so if it's produced, and if you look on the back of it, and you're probably going to see these weird little names that you don't recognize, that's something that got made and created. And then something that made that little thing that made that is what Shell did, right? So something that went to that guy so he could make it and then get it to you. So whether, and I know we all just poured plastic water bottles to fill up our cups a minute ago. And so that probably was somewhere from across the street, somehow made its way to that water bottle. So really cool stuff. And then recently, over the last few months, you guys have really stepped up and decided to take a step forward for the community. And I think we're going to talk about a couple of different projects you guys are doing and kind of how they're going to help make an impact for us. But kind of give us the backdrop of that. So like how you guys go about giving and kind of your footprint. I mean, you told us an amazing thing earlier about how long you guys have been around. It's kind of hard to imagine that. But kind of give us the history of Shell and then why you guys decided to take a step forward on some of the projects that you're doing this year.
For sure. So this Shell has been in the Deer Park community since 1929 is when we started operations. So that's 92, 93 years that we've been here, really growing with the community. When we came here, it was very different. There was no houses. It was a new build. But our employees moved here. We've built. You've seen the community grow. We've had employees on different boards for for the 90 years as we've kind of grown together. So Deer Park is very special to us, to our employees. And so with the changes that have happened at Shell, we wanted to do kind of a big announcement that would recognize all of this and involve our community. So we announced $2.1 million in funding for the community for 3 different projects.
Wow. That's amazing.
That's awesome.
So I know we have one specifically kind of close to my heart because I'm a Deer Park native. And so I'm excited when and we're talking about a history museum. So I've been waiting forever to be in a history museum, so now's my chance. So
the Jason Lee Wing.
Yeah, if there's anybody I'm just going to talk to you after the show, figure out who I got to know. But no, in all seriousness,
I think that takes a check, Jason.
Okay. I don't think mine's big enough, but let's talk about that specifically. Give us some backdrop into that, and then we'll talk about a couple of the other projects.
Yep. So we've been kind of exploring our history as a site for a number of years. We formerly had a history society that have collected stuff since the very beginning. And we were able to kind of show it off at the City of Deer Park's 125th anniversary. We did have an exhibit at the San Jacinto Monument a few years ago that also dived into our history, and we continue to learn more. So the project we did this year is to do $800,000 to the City of Deer Park for their history museum. So it's going to be located at the Jimmy Burke Activity Center.
Nice.
They're rebuilding that facility, and it'll have a new visitors center and a history museum, and that is the part that we're helping to fund to really kind of honor our history here and the city's history here and how it's grown, and we've seen that kind of hand-in-hand evolution over the 90 years that we've been here.
Yeah, I think people kind of lose sight of that, right? We get lost in the day-to-day, and as everybody starts thinking about joining this metaverse where they can live in some kind of virtual reality world where they're not in their own backyard, they lose sight of just how important their own backyard is. Mm-hmm. And this backyard specifically, right, being here in Deer Park, tucked in the corner, has created a lot of jobs, created a lot of opportunities, started from nothing when the plant was there to as it's built out, it's almost its own little epicenter where from this there's been so much job creation and opportunity creation. I think it's a pretty cool story to tell. Not to mention you just go right across the street and a little ways down you got the battleship and the all that other historical kind of figure that ties that back to our great state. And so there's a lot of cool stuff behind that. And so it's interesting that they're going to create a museum.
I like marketing, so I'm kind of a geek about marketing and just business in general. I like seeing some of the older nostalgic marketing stuff. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what you unlock from the vault of the Shell Deer Park facility and actually put into that museum. I think it's going to be pretty cool, honestly.
Yeah, it's interesting because there's a lot of history that really belongs to our community, right? So there's stuff that we have. During World War II, we used to keep an honor roll of all the employees that were from our site that then went and fought in World War II. So that's something that you'll see there. But it lists all the names who were residents of Deer Park, right? So their family members can come and find it and see them there. And
that's
perhaps
cool.
photos.
And that's awesome. Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, see, stuff like that is important because I think it really speaks to the power of community and then how business and community have to work together, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think that's wonderful. What about the next thing? So
the Baker Ripley's Pathway to Possibility. I nailed it. I said it right.
Yeah, I wanted to give that to him. I was like, man, I'm going to screw that up. So we'll give that to Clint.
Baker Ripley's Pathways to Possibilities. So what's that about?
Yes. So this program, we did $1 million donation for them.
Wow.
And they really look to address kind of some of the socioeconomic conditions that would prevent people from doing a post-secondary education in our community. So they'll reach out to individuals kind of in your Deer Park, Pasadena, LaPorte region who may have finished high school but then didn't continue on in their education due to, it could be, there could be tuition might be a barrier. It could be, but there's a lot of other barriers that would impact you from being able to continue. It might be that you don't know the pathway into those programs. It could be, it could be childcare. It could be transportation. These types of issues. Sometimes you need a little bit more direction on how to navigate through those systems. So it reaches out to those individuals and brings them in and helps them transition through, to their post-secondary and through that program, and then get them into, a new career, making a living wage, and then growing from there.
Okay.
So, super cool program that we've working with Baker Ripley to get that in this region and move people in.
That's phenomenal.
That is really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's exciting that that we all know how important workforce development is in this space, and so creating that next path when someone hits kind of a hurdle and they get stuck, how do they then take that hurdle and get over it? So to bring that in and add that to the already great things that are happening from a workforce development perspective is going to be huge. So I'm going to take this last one, and I feel very confident that I can say it. I'm going to say it slowly because you guys are working with the Partnership Park Internet Equity Program for Precinct Together.
Yes.
Or the Precinct Together
Precinct
organization. Woo! We got that. The Partnership Park Equity.
We're proud of you. Good job.
Yeah. It's like Sally sells seashells by the seashore, but trying to do it like that. But now talk to us a little bit about that, and then we're going to shift gears a little bit and talk about kind of the year in, year out routines that you guys go through.
For sure.
Yeah.
So Precinct Together, we've partnered with them a few times before, and great organization. They have been kind of addressing some of the needs that we've seen probably that have existed but have been elevated during the COVID-19 pandemic. And of course, one of the big issues we've had is internet access, right? And the digital divide is growing as, people started working from home and classrooms were pushed to home and you were doing stuff online. And if you didn't have internet access, you were really missing out on quite a bit of activity. So this project is $300,000 for Partnership Park Internet Equity, and it will put internet in Partnership Park. So Partnership Park is located on Spencer Highway, kind of west of Center Street. So people can go there, they'll be able to access the internet so they can do their telehealth, or they can do their online job applications, because so much of that is online only now.
Right.
Sure.
They can do their schooling online, or they can access tutoring that may only be online. So,
Right.
so really reducing that barrier and making it available for everyone that needs that access.
That's amazing. I think day in and day out, we take right, we're on a show right now that's going to be absorbed by somebody who has access to the internet. Yet we forget that there's a huge, still today, a percentage of our population that's not part of their day.
They just can't access it.
They just can't access it. And it's kind of hard to imagine, but then oftentimes when you go into certain communities or you spend time volunteering in certain parts of the region, you realize how much of a divide there really is between those that have what we take for granted and then those that don't. And so to see, again, a chemical plant across the street here in Deer Park to step right into the community down the street and provide something that people are literally, they don't have, is just unbelievable. I mean, that's such a gift.
Well, I like that it ties back into what y'all are doing with Baker's Ripley, right? I mean,
Exactly.
that if they're going to be helping get people to the success, that success pathway, they need internet access to get there. So
Right.
I like that y'all are, you kind of thought outside the box a little bit and said, hey, well, this is a great solution with Baker Ripley's, but what about the people who don't have internet? Let's get that resolved too.
Right.
So that's awesome that y'all were that forward thinking. So
Yeah, hopefully it'll open some doors for a number of people in our community, which can then, we'll see where they go next. It takes down such a significant barrier that we've seen really highlighted over the past couple of years.
So I know sometimes your job's probably challenging, having to step into. It's probably always challenging, right? But there's probably some unfun moments, right?
she doesn't sleep. What are you talking about?
You're in charge
She doesn't sleep.
of
She's got kids and she does
being
this
the
full time.
face of the community for a big organization like that. It's probably from one thing to the next, and sometimes it can, just like any of us, our jobs can get wrapped up in kind of the minutia of work, right? It's got to feel pretty cool to be able to have an impact like that, though. I mean, there's got to be. I bet when that's over and you get to step into that role, that's going to be probably pretty rewarding, right?
It is. It's very exciting. It's such a great program, and it's something that our employees really appreciate as well. And
Awesome.
they get they feel good that we're out in the community and giving back and able to help.
That's wonderful. Yeah, that's cool. And so I guess that kind of goes back to another question. You because I think you guys put the choices back to the employee population, the employee community. How does that work? I mean, so if I'm an employee at Shell, do I have kind of an involvement in that, or is it something? Are they involved in trying to, what things are they doing? So if I go to work every day, how do I wake up and stay in contact with you so that Shell says, hey, this is what we're doing. Here's how we're going about doing it. Do they have a say in it? Is there a part in that, or do they get to go be a part of those events as they're communicated and those things are happening?
Yeah, so our employees, they do quite a bit for our community as well. One activity that they've been doing, I don't know, it's been 20 or 30 years that they've been running a toy drive every year.
Oh, cool.
And they collect so many toys. They'll bring them in, they'll drop them off at work, and then the emergency response team has donated them out into the community.
Nice.
And they quite enjoy that. The other activity that is going to be coming up in a couple months is the Education Foundation, Deer Park Education Foundation Fun Run.
Sweet.
So we will see you there. You will have to come and run the race with us. But a lot of our employees will either volunteer at that, so they'll help with water or directions or talking about what's going on at our facility, or they themselves will be running. And we do have a few strong runners that I'm sure will be back to defend their title again this year.
Nice.
And you'll be dragging your kids through the whole race?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't run
We'll sleep
for
good
fun.
that night. It's worth it.
But I would do that fun run, so because it sounds like a really cool cause. And then, so for the community, when you say, because I've heard of the Deer Park Fun Run, how do you guys get that story out to everybody? Is it something that I know it's obvious inside the plan, it's communicated, but how do you keep it so that other people in the area can find out?
Yeah, so we'll communicate it on our social media channels. So you can follow us at Shell Deer Park on Facebook and Twitter. And then the schools do a lot to get the word out and get their kids going. So they'll run different competitions, the schools with the most registrations or what have you. Their running clubs usually come out, so you'll see the different groups with their colored shirts from the different schools that are racing. And I don't know, last year we had a group of kids that were trying to outpace our pace car. So yeah, it's really good. We have quite a running community here in Deer Park.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And if you don't run, you can buy a shirt.
There you go.
And still support the race, but not have to do the run.
Yeah,
So.
and I'm probably going to be on the shirt committee. Yeah, I'm down. Sign me up to get the shirt.
To hand out water. You can hand out water.
There you go.
And then when they put your wing in the museum, it'll be the Jason Lee water closet.
Water closet. There we go. Let's go to the last thing is because I thought this was really interesting that you actually step into the community to allow the community to kind of make a choice, right, and putting it back in their hands as to how you guys can put some of your stuff to work, some of your resources to work.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. So, because I think it's important for people to understand this isn't just stuff that is setting up in some ivory tower where you're like, oh, that sounds like a cool idea. Let's do that. Like the Christmas presents that you get your kids that they didn't even want, right? Like I know I've done that where I'm in the ivory tower and I forgot to get feedback, and my daughter's like, the other day my wife said that. She said, oh, you know what? We should really get Daisy a new vacuum cleaner for upstairs. And I said, you want to get my daughter a vacuum cleaner? Just to make sure I understand that. That's so you guys aren't doing the old get your kid a vacuum cleaner projects. You're actually doing really cool stuff to actually.
That was a really weird analogy, but I like that you did it.
But it works, right?
Works.
So thinking of the same analogy that works. Talk to me about how you actually get engagement so that you can then go make the decision for the community on how to apply some of the grant money.
Yeah, so we have a program called Community Grants that we do once a year. So we'll solicit grant applications. So it's for nonprofit organizations for a grant up to $5,000. It doesn't have to be $5,000, but that's kind of where we cap it for something that is a one-time sustainable activity. And then when we get all those applications in, we'll have a community panel. So we'll ask individuals in the community of these grant applications, what ones do you think would be the most beneficial and benefit the most amount of people in our community? So we've done funding programs. Clothed by Faith has gotten funding from us, of course, because they'll do the clothing donations to individuals in our community. The Bridge has gotten funding
Another
from
great
us,
organization
for their programming. So, and it'll move. There's different organizations every
and
year.
The Shell Studio.
But yeah, so it's always exciting. So look forward to what grants we'll see this year, and it's a good opportunity to learn about what's going on in our community.
Yeah, that sounds like a really cool thing. And so, and that's specific to nonprofits. So nonprofits, and so if you're tuned in and you have a nonprofit that you're part of or that you serve or give to that's here local in the community, what's it called again? just so they can hear it?
Yep, Deer Park Community Grants.
Deer Park Community Grants. Look it up, and would they go to your website to get more information?
Yep, if they go to shell.us/deerpark,
Yep.
they can find the information there.
Perfect. So if you're listening to that, that's important. Get that information over there and make sure that I've already got one in my mind that's a local organization I'm a partner with here in Pasadena that does great stuff. I'm going to get them to know about that. Make sure they do know exactly to put in an application. So we're excited about that.
I'm going to brag about mine. I'm with Friday Harbor, and I know y'all support Friday Harbor also. So we get hotel rooms for people getting cancer treatment in the Houston Med Center for free. So Shell's a partner with us on that as well.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Well, cool. See, there you go. So you got, so for those that were listening, it's the community grant program, and we have a lot of really cool stuff going on this upcoming year. You guys stepped up big time, and I think it's a really signature time to do it, right? Coming out of a couple of rough years, I think people need that feel good, like community vibe now that people are getting back out into the community. I think it really just speaks to that, right? So of just really stepping up, and people are excited to do that. So is there anything that I didn't capture, that we didn't capture today, that you want to make sure our audience hears as you kind of wrap up, as we get ready to wrap up the show?
You know, I think it's really important if you're in the community and you have questions to reach out and let us know. We do try really hard to make sure that everyone's getting the right information. We'll send out emails, put it on our website, put it on our Facebook and Twitter account, but can't answer questions we don't get. So reach out and talk to us. So
the website's really great. I mean, I've been to other sites, and y'all's is.
We try to keep it up to date.
It is. I mean, it's very accurate. I mean, I like that, and y'all's LinkedIn account. I mean, y'all do a great job. You really do. So thank you for doing that.
Keep up the good work. There you go. So make sure, if you want to stay in the know, you got to ask questions, you got to get involved. And that's a great way to parlay to the end of our show. This show is about communication, it's about telling the story, and it's about letting people know that the Economic Alliance, the Gulf Coast Growth Show, Shell, the refinery chemical plant across the street, it is centered and focused and committed to the community, to telling the story and making sure people stay aware of what to do. So if you don't know what's happening, our show keeps you informed for legislation, community involvement, workforce development. So if you're scratching your head, don't be afraid to reach out. You can always reach out to the Economic Alliance Houston Port Region as far as our website's concerned, and you can reach out to Clint, myself. You can reach out to Jessica. I'm sure she's on LinkedIn. But you can always stay and find us on LinkedIn, but we're happy to stay informed and keep you informed. So as always, again, Jessica, thank you so much for your time today. It was great. You gave us some great information. We're excited. And thank you again. Thanks, Shell, for our sponsorship. We're excited about that as well. And we'd love to see you guys next week. So make sure that you tune in to the Economic Alliance and subscribe to us at the Houston Port Region Economic Alliance's website. You go to the top. It says a little thing around media. You click that, and there's a place you can go subscribe specifically to the podcast. That way you can get updates and stay tuned in every time we release a great episode, just like Jessica's, to keep you informed. So we look forward to seeing you guys next week. Again, thank you for your time today. We'll see you out there.